Thank you all. Thank you all again for joining. So this is the Black History Month for the town of Halton Hills announcement and celebration for 2021. And a flyer that we sent out to everybody. And so we've had the anthem, and I'm going to get Mr. Abe Salami to read the land acknowledgement. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Lady Abba. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern tradition of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Adwa Wandaron, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis. These lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in indigenous history.
You're on mute, sir.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for the brief introduction. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern.
Sorry, Mr. Salami, you seem to be back on mute again.
Sorry. These, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern tradition of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Atawadaron, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis. These lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the four directions: land, waters, plants, animals, ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of the creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation for sharing the traditional territory with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abe Salami. Mr. Abe Salami is an accountant, mortgage broker, and also a director with African Caribbean Council of Wealth. Thank you so much. And so this is our agenda today. We've done the first two, and I'm going to do the welcome and introduce our mayor so that we can continue. And today with me, I do have a co-host. Her name is Miss Edosa Adam Idode. She's a lawyer and also a director with African Caribbean Council of Wealth. Thank you. I will stop sharing now so that we can all see ourselves.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Romeo Mitchell, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for joining. So good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining African Caribbean Council of Halton, ACCH, as we celebrate Black History Month and in the town of Halton virtually for the announcement and celebration. At ACCH, her vision is to advocate, build, empower, and strengthen our African Caribbean community. We will advocate with elected officials and organizations and businesses on programs and policies that affect our community for meaningful and tangible change. Why do we celebrate? We celebrate because people of African African and Caribbean heritage have been instrumental in shaping Canada as we know it today. It is important to remember and celebrate all these achievements for hundreds of years and to be open-minded and deal with each other with care and empathy. Notable to mention are Honorable Lincoln M. Alexander, Are Tubman, and Honorable Jean Augustine. I just want to say a little bit more about Honorable Jean Augustine. She is a trailblazing politician, social activist, and educator. She was the first African Canadian woman to be elected to the House of Commons. And in 1995, a proposed motion before Parliament to recognize February as Black History Month passed unanimously. She continued to serve in such key positions as Minister of State for Multiculturalism and the Status of Women. She is a member of the Queen's Privy Council of Canada and member of the Citizenship and Immigration Committee. Also, we celebrate because the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent is between 2015 and 2024. As proclaimed with the General Assembly, the theme for the International Decade is People of African Descent Recognition, Justice, and Development. In proclaiming this decade, the international community is recognizing that people of African descent represent a distinct group whose human rights must be promoted and protected. Our team, the Black family, and the Canadian team for 2021 is that future is now. And so our question to our elected officials and organizations and leaders is, how are we making that impactful in the life of the Black family? Our families face a lot of hindrances, a lot of rejection, and it is important for us to celebrate and support the Black family. Whether we like it or not, there is systemic anti-Black racism. There is inequality. There is inequity. Some of us feel invincible, not hurt. And so we will follow up with you, Your Honor, in setting up an African Caribbean caucus at the provincial level. We want to make sure that we continue this conversation. Yes, it may be difficult, but the point is we need to continue to talk to ourselves so that we don't let things fester. How might you help? A lot of people have asked. It starts with us. Change starts with you and I. Let's look within our network. Who are we hiring? Who are our friends? Can you even mention one Black woman, one Black man, one Caribbean, African woman that you know that you can actually reach out to? You have us, ACCH. We want to be a part of the solution. And that is why we're having what we're having. Join our events to learn more about us. A lot of people think that Africa is one country. No, it's not. It's a continent with multiple countries, multiple cultures. We have French speaking, we have English speaking, and of course our Caribbean brothers and sisters. Donate your time to support us. And of course, donate your funds. You can go to our website, AfricanCaribbeanCouncilofAlton.com, to donate to us. And so today we want to hear from our elected officials. We want to hear from our leaders in the community to know what their effort is in making the town of Halton in particular and Halton region in general to be a more inclusive community. And so without further ado, I will introduce our mayor. Our mayor is a lifelong resident of Halton Hall. Rick Bonnet takes pride in having served the community as mayor since 2003. He was recognized by the province in 2008 with a long-standing service award. He leads a council team whose priorities include sustainable development, fiscal prudence, and communication. He has personally championed forward-thinking green initiative in support of the environment and public engagement strategies to stay connected with the local community. Please join me to welcome His Honor, Mayor Rick Bonnet.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for the very kind introduction and for your opening remarks. It is my pleasure to attend this virtual event and bring you greetings on behalf of the town of Halton Hills. And we do have Councillor Fogel, and I saw Councillor Lawler's names popped up, our Chief Administrator, or Acting Chief Administrator, Chris Mills is here. Catherine McLeod. So we have staff. Catherine McLeod is with our on our staff that works very hard on inclusiveness. So we have. We're very happy to see so many interested counselors be part of this, and you promoted this this event, and I'm so glad you promoted it on Instagram, on Twitter, and so hopefully more people can be aware of this most important event. These are very unusual times, and while many people have adapted through the use of technology, and you can see I struggled. I've never been on this system before at the very beginning, but I think I have it now. But as many people, we struggle with the use of technology to remain connected, to remain engaged. Others have not thrived. So the special world events can be seen even at our local level while fostering unity, which is very important. And community at the grassroots levels becomes all the more important, as we're not allowed to socialize as much as we did prior to the pandemic. Building a healthy Halton Hills is not solely a municipal initiative, but rather it takes a deliberate and dedicated effort amongst all residents, organizations, and businesses. We must all embrace equity and diversity and practice and live these common values that so many of us, most of us, should all have. The work of the ACC is most important for these reasons. I'm pleased to present a certificate, and a copy of which will be delivered to you. And this shows up. You probably won't, but you can see it, but I'll read it, what it says. So I'll make sure you do get it. And it says, presented to the African Caribbean Council of Halton in recognition of their important contributions to build a stronger community and further their ongoing efforts honoring the legacy of Black Canadians during Black History Month, as recognized by Halton Hills Town Council at its meeting of February the 1st, 2021. Earlier this month, I had the opportunity to recognize the African Caribbean Council of Halton at our town council meeting and recognize February as Black History Month. In case you were not able to watch the live stream of the meeting, I'd like to take a moment now to share with you the long list of expanded programming that the town and our library have put in place for this annual dedicated time of reflection. The library is committed to raising awareness of Black History Month through a mix of programming, reading challenges, and displays. Programs for 2021 included studies with Dr. Jade Ferguson, Associate Professor at the University of Guelph in the School of English and Theatre, to discuss her community work, including the creation of the website Black Past in Guelph. And you can see the website, and that is blackpastinguelph.com. There's story times featuring Black authors and illustrators, participation in hashtag Reading Black Out campaign, where library staff will read books by Black authors and share their reviews on teen and adult Instagram channels. We have integrating Halton Black History Awareness Society educational resources into displays. Featured reading lists will be promoted through various channels and promotion of diverse authors as part of the Winter Reading Challenge and relaunch of the Thomas Henry virtual display. And I don't know if you know who Henry Thomas Shepard was, but he was a war hero, lived in Georgetown, First World War, Second World War, and he also became the town fire chief. And think of that time when he became the town fire chief 80 some years ago. Times have changed for the better, but he was part of the community. He's considered a hero. And as a matter of fact, we renamed a parkette after this gentleman. And we're going to celebrate it in the fall, actually last spring, but unfortunately with the pandemic hit, he has a lot of family living in England, and we looked at having it in in the fall. And of course, we're still waiting when we can get together, but we're excited to have a celebration of this wonderful human being that gave so much to the town of Georgetown and representative here in Halton Hills. So we're looking forward to that day when it comes. And what's really interesting is that we have a program on Halton Hills, Let's Talk. And you can go on our website to Let's Talk various subjects. And when it came to renaming the park, it had one of the largest responses. Well over 400 people took the time when they heard the history and supported the renaming of this park after Henry Thomas Shepard. So he's quite a hero in our town. As well, I'm pleased to advise that Black History Month will be celebrated online, available to the public on our website at haltonhills.ca/culture. And here you'll find original content of regional artists, visual art, interviews, and music in a digital collection created for February 2021. And featured content will also include artwork from the 2019 Halton Black History Awareness Society exhibition at our Halton Gallery. The is scheduled to return to the gallery in August of 2021. That is the Black History Awareness Society. And with a new group exhibition in commemoration of Emancipation Day of August the 1st. We'll have video interviews by Francesca Durham for Culture Days in 2021, featuring artist Mosa McNeely and Atkins' own hip-hop artist Promise. A musical performance by Jean Asamoah, founder of the Aquaba Culture Exchange, from the stage of the John Elliott Theater, recording during the Culture Days of 2020. And the town is also committed to sharing the stories of Black artists in Halton Hills year-round, with arts and culture programming offered to the public through the Halton Gallery, Culture Days, and more. So once again, you can see we're trying to be very proactive in bringing the Black culture and artists and history to our community. And so I'd like to thank again the African Caribbean Council of Halton for their work in building a healthy Halton Hills and Halton region, because I know you went to the other communities as well. I'm very pleased about that. And thank you for your advocacy and promotion and education. So thank you very much again for allowing me to make my remarks on behalf of the Town of Halton Hills Council and the people and our staff. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, again, and thank you, Mayor, for your proclamation and your speech. As you can see, we're very intentional here. I'm just showing you the fact that at ACCH, we're very intentional. And we're pleased to hear that Halton Hills is taking deliberate and dedicated efforts to not just to recognize Henry Thomas, who had lived in the town of Halton Hills and was very instrumental in his history of that town, but also to know that there are various arts and cultural events planned out to create more awareness. And so we're pleased to see that an ACCH would definitely be getting back to you. As Lady Abba has said, we will be seeking a provincial caucus to have all these issues addressed in the different regions. Without much ado, I'm going to be introducing the next speaker for today. I am pleased to introduce to today's panelists in celebration of Black History Month at ACCH. I'm no other than Justice Kofi Barnes, a Canadian-born judge of the Ontario Superior Court of Justice, Central West Division. Honorable Justice Barnes was appointed to the Ontario Court of Justice in 2004. He served as a local administrative judge for the Ontario Court House operations in Toronto prior to that appointment. He was a lawyer with the Department of Justice, Federal Prosecution Services, Ontario region from 1993 to 2004. Honorable Justice Barnes was the founder of Durham Mental Health and Drug Treatment Court in Oshawa in 2006, a co-founder of Canada's first drug court in Toronto in 1998. He is a founding president of the Canadian Association of Drug Treatment Court Professionals, a not-for-profit organization. He's provided countless training sessions internationally under the sponsorship of the United Nations and the Organization of American States. Honorable Justice Barnes is known they include the Queen Elizabeth Silver Jubilee Commemorative Medal, Trent University Distinguished Alumni Award, and the African Canadian Achievement Award for Excellence in Law. Your Honor, it is my privilege and my honor to welcome you to this awesome celebration as a trailblazer, not only in the field of social justice and empowerment, but also as a trailblazer for the African Caribbeans in the justice system and in Ontario as well, in Canada as well. So please join me to welcome Justice Barnes. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, distinguished guests, I want to thank the African Canadian Council for this invitation. I could speak to you about the slave trade and its deleterious impacts on the Black family and how it has caused intergenerational trauma. Or I could even speak to you about the stories of Black people, past and present, who have overcome and made positive contributions to their lives, to their families, and to the communities in which they live. However, today I'd like to speak to you about Emily. Emily had an appointment to meet with her father for their weekly Wednesday lunch meetings. Now, her father was fashionably late, and so she sat on a park bench engaging in her favorite activity, which was people watching. And as she did this, she saw a white man running and also saw a Black man running. They were across the street on a sidewalk. They seemed to be running quickly towards each other. They were not looking at each other, but it seemed like they both had a look of panic and horror on their faces. They were yelling. At first, she could not quite make out what they were saying. She followed their gazes, and she noticed that they were looking downwards. They were looking towards the ground. So she also looked towards the ground. And the white man was looking at and running after a white boy, a toddler. He was about 2 or 3 years old, and he was in full flight. The Black man was looking down, and he was looking at a young toddler. He was also between 2 and 3 years old, and he was also in full flight. The men were yelling out the children's name, imploring them to stop running. It was so dangerous. The boys ran into each other's arms and embraced each other and gave each other a warm, tight embrace. The father stopped right next to the children. Their looks of panic and horror replaced with looks of relief and a warm smile. It turns out the children were best friends. They were all neighbors. They were so happy to see each other that they took flight. An example of pure innocence, an example of love. The essence of humanity was on full display. 86-year-old Kolita Yamchuk is a retired nurse. She was awarded the Order of Canada in 2003 for her contributions for nursing and also her contributions to her community. She told CBC News that in 1955, she began her first job as a nurse at the Nova Scotia Hospital in Dartmouth. A white patient refused to have Kolita take care of her. Kolita explained the situation as follows. She didn't want a black person to be talking and nursing her and looking after her. Kolita said she was hurt by those comments. She tried to stay away from the patient. It was not always possible, so she would still speak to the patient from time to time. By the time the patient was discharged, they had become fast friends. The white patient gave Kolita a Royal Dalton cup and saucer as a parting gift. These items are cherished by Kolita. In an interview, Kolita explained the change in the patient's attitude as follows. She said, slowly, she started talking to me. And that attitude that she had, she dropped it. And I found out that I guess we became friends. She apologized for the way she had met me in the beginning. Then Kolita described the sacred truth at the crux of human relationships and perceptions. She said, and the lesson that I thought I learned and that we both learned from that experience is that when you move beyond the person's color and you get to know them as a person, that you find that you were very, very similar in likes, dislikes, our wants, and our experiences in life. For me, that is what Black History Month gives us an opportunity to do, an opportunity to learn from and to share with each other. Hopefully we can do this all year long. I once saw a picture of a black child embracing a white child in a tight, warm embrace. And there was a caption across the picture. And the caption read, God chose the color of your skin. You choose the content of your character. Those two toddlers, Emily saw that warm, sunny day will grow up. What will their families teach them? What will society teach them? Will their lessons be lessons that will keep them locked in that warm, loving embrace? Or will the lessons be lessons that are designed to tear them apart? As all of us reach out and learn from each other and learn about each other, we move closer and closer, so closer to replacing hate and discrimination with love, compassion, fairness, equality, happiness, good health, peace, and prosperity. I end my very brief remarks with what has become a familiar parting greeting in this pandemic era. Stay well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Honor, Kofi Banks. Wow. Very, very moving stories of Emily and Kolita. Love, compassion, equality. Thank you so much. Without further ado, and because of time, I would like to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Regional Councillor Jane Fogle. She is currently serving her 5th term as a member of Halton Regional Council. She has a BA in Physical Education and Masters in Sports Psychology. She volunteers with Halton Hills Cultural Roundtable and is an active member of the Friends of the Old Seed House Garden. She's an avid cyclist, plays squash and tennis, and enjoys gardening. She's also a recipient of the 2011 Halton Hills Hearts Alive Award for Culture. Please join me to welcome Regional Councillor Jane Fogle.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I can see I need to update whatever material it is that's on the internet. It's happened twice. That it's a little bit behind, but good enough. Thank you for inviting me to be here today to help celebrate Black History Month. Well, I think being here and speaking after the mayor means that a lot of what I might have spoken about has already been spoken about. But I'm going to reflect more personally on what it means, is because we are on a journey, and I can see that Black History Month has taken a leap forward in this past year. A light has been shone on the situation of racism, and really, you could see that from a town point of view, we've really picked up our game. And where you really see traction on any issue is when a town or a city assigns something to staff directly to their job description. And that is what has happened around racism at our town. And so Catherine McLeod is on this call. She is our person who is taking a hold of this, and she's a terrific person who really gets things done and is terrifically organized and understands what it means and how we can make some progress. So you heard the list of things that the mayor talked about. We didn't always do all those things. A lot of them are new. Now, one that's not new, and I saw Dennis Scott was on the call. We have been having different celebrations, and one of them has been the art show for Black artists, visual artists. And Dennis would invite us to go to the opening, which I would do. And it was a terrific way to have those artists stand up and speak. So we didn't just have the art, which is one thing, but to have the artists tell their story about what their art was about and what their journey had been. I found it to be really great and look forward to doing that. So, but now we're doing a lot more. I just wanted to share a personal story about racism, or a light bulb coming on for me. My daughter back in high school had a friend, she had a boyfriend who was from Brampton, and his best friend was Black, Donald. Donald would come and visit us in Georgetown, and then he'd go back home. And one time he came and he said, when he left our place the last time, he got stopped by the police on his way back to Brampton. And I was stunned that was happening in Halton. I didn't know that was happening in Halton, that a high school boy just driving a car would be stopped by the police. And then reflect back on the effect on Donald of what it means to him to have authority suspicious of him all the time, and that he could be stopped randomly. That's never left me. And certainly now we're demanding as white people that stop. It has to stop. And I hope we're making some progress on that. I'll just finish with, I decided that my own little personal celebration of Black History Month, I would actually go to YouTube and listen to some of the speeches by Jean Augustine, Dr. Jean Augustine. And I just found that so inspirational. I think everybody should do that. You take 15 or 20 minutes and listen to any one of her talks. It's heartwarming and inspirational, even just for me as a political leader. Wow. Take a page out of her book and you'll do well. So with that, I think I'll wrap it up, but I wish you all well, and I hope we have a great month ahead to celebrate all the marvelous things that Black people are doing and educate people on the history and how we got here. And let's be hopeful that we keep moving forward as we've seen in the past year. Thank you.
So, sorry, Lady Abba, you're on mute.
So sorry, that's the word that is being used mostly in 2020 and now 2021. Thank you so much. I thought I was seeing His Honor raising his hand to talk. Thank you so much, Regional Councillor Jim Fogel. Thank you so much. I feel we all need to continue to educate ourselves to learn more about the culture of the African Caribbean people. And thank you for doing that and being proactive in that. My sincere apologies. I was actually supposed to introduce Dennis Cott next, but I missed it and I jumped the queue. I know that he does not need any introduction, but for people that do not know him, he is a visionary cultural events developer. Is an executive and career coach. In 2011, he got the Certificate of Recognition Award for Owen Sound Heritage. Is the chair Halton Black History Awareness Society. Is chair Emancipation Festival between 2001 and 2011. Because of time, I will just hand it over to Dennis to talk to us about Black History Month. Over to you, Dennis. Dennis, are you still here? Okay, so I guess we'll go on, and if he does come back on, we'll get him to speak. So Edosa, over to you.
Thank you, Adejisola. Thank you again, everyone. This is creating awareness. The next speaker is no other than a seasoned educator. She's a member of the Ontario College of Teachers and works in Halton Hills region. She's formerly a director of the Reco Emilia Early Childhood Education Center. I know this woman's passion for education is top-notch. She's a parent coach and also children's ministry coordinator. She teaches maths. She's taught my son maths, and I know that her passion for education is also ingrained in her work that she does in Halton Hills. I would please join me to welcome Mrs. Aramide Ademugu to speak to us about the theme, the Black family. Thank you, Mrs. Aramide.
Thank you, everybody. And I would like to start by appreciating the mayor and also Councillor Jane for joining in the conversation to uplift the Black family. You have begun a good initiative in Halton Hills, and I'm so happy for that. You walk along with us to create inclusive and welcoming community for families of African and Caribbean descent. And as a result, Halton Hills will become an amazing place for all Canadians. Kaje spoke about Donald, how he must felt when he was not treated with dignity. At the same time, I would also like to appreciate the efforts of Halton District School Board in dismantling anti-Black racism through various initiative sessions, such as the creation of the anti-discriminatory language policies. For those of us who have chosen, those of us that have families of African and Caribbean descent, we have chosen to live, work, school or attend religious services or recreational services in Hills. We would like to feel welcomed and included in the spaces in Halton Hills. We would like to know that when we visit the library, not just during Black History Month, but throughout the year, that we will be treated with respect and dignity that we deserve. That wherever we go, we will feel and know that that space has been created with us in mind. That we see ourselves in those spaces, in the libraries, in the schools, in the parks, that we were thought about as these places were being built and being established. I want to appreciate the council for naming a park after a Black Canadian. It's so warming and welcoming. And as was said, I'm an editor. I see firsthand how children feel when they don't see themselves reflective of a place they are living in, when they don't see themselves reflected in a positive light. As Black families, we are more than an enslavement period. We are more than a token. We are more than just making us feel, okay, now we're going to accommodate you. We want to be seen. We want to be acknowledged. We want to be made to feel that we are indeed ingrained in the Canadian society, not just as an afterthought, that's fully embedded and appreciated. Thank you once again for everybody who has joined in this conversation. It is a conversation that has started, but it will continue and continue. And we will definitely be all better off for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Aramide, for that direct and intentional review of your employment standards in Halton Hills, which has, the dial is moving, and we're grateful that you're creating awareness to that dial. And without much ado, we are just looking at the time, it's 11:45, so we want to keep it within the time slot that we have. And I want to quickly remind our listeners to please type your questions if you have them on the chat. I'm sure the panelists will be willing and able to provide answers to them. Our next presenter is Mrs. Felucio Abbayomi. Mrs. Abbayomi has over 20 years experience in Canada and internationally. She holds a doctorate degree in education and a master's also in education. She is passionate about equity issues and closing achievement gaps for underserved children and students. She lives in Georgetown. She's a resident in Halton Hills with her husband and 2 children. Without further ado, I'd like to please welcome to the discussion, Mrs. Felucio Abbayomi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, and good morning. I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. And I want to begin by thanking the ACCH executive for inviting me to the Halton Hills Black History virtual event. I also want to applaud the Halton Hills, especially our mayor, and of course our regional councillor. And I must confess, I saw all the activities on the website and the library. I was like, wow, this is our first time. So we're so proud and we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful that we also get this space to talk about this very, which must continue. And we are all in this together. While we want to acknowledge and of course celebrate the many achievements and contribution of Black Canadians and their community, I think it's important also to acknowledge the continued struggles of the Black community in our province and specifically in our region. Today, I want to just add a little bit to the current global pandemic in relation to mental health and well-being of our people. I would like to add that to this conversation. As we know, evidence demonstrates that racialized people are experiencing the most severe impact of COVID. A lot of our folks have been working throughout this pandemic in long-term care homes, in hospitals, in food services, and some in food processing industries. And as we know, COVID-19 pandemic has many effects on mental health and the well-being of families. Across Ontario also, we know that our Black people are counted amongst the working poor, many of whom right now have lost employment as a result of the pandemic. And I remember the Ontario Anti-Racism Directorate in 2017, they found out in their consultation that Black people face more barriers in gaining employment in the formal sector. As such, a high proportion of Black working people are in informal sector, and that's temporary position and with short-term commitments. So also our Black business owner, it's a challenging time for them at this time. Some low-income households as well, they're having difficulties in accessing social and financial relief just because they do not meet prescribed thresholds. But yet they're deeply impacted by COVID. Black workers, especially Black women, they are overrepresented in frontline services as personal support worker. That's where a lot of our women work, and some are nurses in our hospitals. So we're providing essential services at this time. And you know, it intensifies stress, fear, anxiety, and isolation for a lot of our seniors. They're here too. All these factors impact our mental health and well-being of a lot of families. And that's including the Black children and the youth. They're directly and indirectly impacted as well. So one must then ask this question as we remain in the pandemic. What specifically is Halton officials doing to equitably ensure that the needs and interests of Black families in this region are acknowledged and that they're included and considered to inform COVID-related policies and actions? So instead of using one heart fit all, that's what's been used so far, it's an approach for everyone, same thing. It's important to collect race-based data that will help specify the needs and interests of the Black community so that appropriate resources are provided and they are made easily accessible to support Black families. For example, human resources related to crisis and mental health issues need to reflect the diversity of the community so that our folks can have choices in accessing available resources. I would like to conclude by reminding us or say alerting us that there are some key factors that we must consciously reflect on in order to change the trajectory of this unprecedented time. Number one, good health is a product of access. It's a product of social, cultural, and economic factors. Structural and systemic inequality are vital contributors to poor health outcomes. And in Ontario, as we know, it's the home to the largest population of Black people. Race is still a determinant of health. And based on the current evidence, COVID is not helping. It's not flattening this disparity. It's amplifying it. So moving forward, I think it's important that our region acknowledge all these facts and partner with our community leaders, Black leaders, to ensure that we're developing policies and implementing policies that reflect and addresses the needs of our community. For example, we can intentionally hire mental health experts who are trained in dealing with race-based trauma, especially for our younger ones. This will be very beneficial. The work must begin, and like the team says, the future is now. And again, I want to thank you for inviting me and for joining us tonight. This morning, I've been speaking mostly in the night. So it's my first time speaking in the morning. So thank you so much and happy History Month, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abbayomi. Thank you so much. It's never a one outfit all. As we're exotic, we look different, and so is our needs. Thank you for the question. I'm sure the mayor has taken it away. We are running a little late. I'm craving your indulgence to please give us like 10 to 15 more minutes. We promise we will finish at 12:15 at the most. We've not really followed our agenda the way we should. So now I'm going to introduce our next speaker. He's a pastor and a resident of Halton Hills. Is a pastor's RCCG House of Grace in Georgetown. He has his bachelor's in industrial chemistry, University of Lagos, a master's, and he's a commercial banker with 17 years of experience. Please join me to welcome Pastor Ayo Akintomide. Over to you, sir.
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, for this privilege to join this meeting today. And I want to acknowledge the mayor and all the guests this morning. Thank you for this privilege. I'll just talk very briefly on the need for love. If I can just quickly read from from the scripture in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And it says, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. Verse 3 there says, it said, though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profits me nothing. So everything that we need to do, we must have love at the back of our mind, and that will help us to be kind, to show empathy towards others, to be to show equity, to embrace people. So it's very important that we have love, even to be able to attend to people, to be able to appreciate them, because even our God, and when we look at the Bible, it says what manner of love the Father has bestowed upon us. And Jesus also said, a greater love has no man than this, for one to lay down his life for his friends. So love is very important. If there is no love, what we see in the whole world, wars and all that, it's because there's level of hatredness, there's level of there's no love. So we need love. So coming back to the topic that the future is now, and I'm also talking about Black families. Black families are usually extended families. So there's so much of family support, and with that, there's love and kindness within the family. And Black families are usually success-driven, achievement-driven, and that's why I have a lot of achievements in the community, achievers in the community. And recently, we have the new WTO DG, who is Black and the first woman. So it's thumbs up, and we want to thank God for that. And also, the future is now, so we want to make sure that the environment is conducive to the children, so that they're able to embrace anybody and everybody from different culture, and they see beyond their skin color, but look at expertise, they look at intelligence, they look at relating with people. So, and I want to thank the mayor because he talked about talking about empathy and also equity, which is one of the things that Halton Hills is doing to make sure that everybody feels welcome in the community and nobody is left behind. So we appreciate this privilege, and happy History Month. Happy Black History Month.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you so much. Do we have Mr. Dennis Scott online now? Or we have a representative speaking for him?
Yes, you do.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so I can hear you. We've introduced you. Do you mind giving us what you have to talk about today with us? Thank you. Over to you.
Okay. I want to thank you for the introduction. And I'm a sixth-generation Black Canadian enslaved descendant with a cultural background including American, Jamaican, British, French, African, Costa Rican, and Indigenous bloodlines, with grandchildren who amongst them include Jew, Filipino, East Indian, and Kittian ancestry. All of my grandmother's 12 siblings are from mixed unions. I was not taught Black history because of fear of retributions to being Black, and I didn't realize it until I took over an emancipation picnic, which I converted from, and the struggle continues, to the Emancipation Celebration Festival, which became an enormous in growth, 18% within 5 years, and reputation, enabling Owen Sound to be recognized as a cultural capital of Canada with international regard. Through self and collaborative education, I discovered that at the turn of the 19th century, Owen Sound had 10% Black population, that there was an enormity of Black history within Grey Bruce, such as bounty hunters at Leith, where Tom Thompson was born, or the eradication of Blacks and Black heritage in Priceville, where Black tombstones were laid over with potato fields, and census was changed from Black to Scottish or Irish. Next door to Markdale, where William Luke ministered before going to Alabama to teach writing and reading to Blacks. William Luke is the only one lynched by the KKK in the Underground Railroad movement. And next door to a place that did not allow Blacks to sleep over until 1970. I also learned more about my family and myself through learning our history, genealogy and culture included. It was then that I fully appreciated an aunt who was 80, who spearheaded a petition to keep a historical road, Negro Creek Road, whose name Haitian Scottish wanted to rename in their liking, such as they attempted to do in Priceville. This aunt had also typed out our family tree going back to 1700s, which myself and cousins carry on to today. It was then that I acknowledged another aunt who was rejected by nursing colleges throughout Ontario, with one stating fear of death if managed by a Black. She got enrolled at the hospital in Guelph and graduated in 1950 as the first Black nursing graduate in Canada. I learned that a relative, John Daddy Hall, was given squatting rights by Queen Victoria in what is now Victoria Park after Owen Sound took ownership. Exalted as the first town crier in Owen Sound, his plaque is displayed in front of Owen Sound City Hall. I also learned that my great-great-grandfather came to Canada as a freedom seeker in a perforated coffin. That my great-grandfather was seen taking escapees out of barrels, and another relative sang and danced his way to Canada. The festival, through its growth and now inclusive attendance, reacquainted families, promoted historical and genealogical research, and united multicultures, including families of slave owners, historians such as Reverend James Lawson, who is Martin Luther King's confidant, musicians such as my cousin Bobby Dean Blackburn, who was honored on the Mississauga Walk of Fame, who first introduced Liberty Silver and many other R&B musicians to the Toronto music scene, and is from the first Black family in Brampton. Learn from all this. Speaking about our Blacks is amazing as to the intrigue, interest, and build-up of self-esteem and confidence youth and adults have shown. That's what I do, pay back. That is working toward Black history inception into the education system. This is what BC is doing today. As Marcus Garvey said, a people without knowledge of their past history or culture is like a tree without roots. Appreciate diversity and multicultural gives credence to discussing with mixed couples and their children, appreciate their heritage and how to manage insecurities and low self-esteem. I'm proud of Owen Sound, who display Emancipation Festival banners throughout the city each summer. I'm proud of their development of a cairn in Harrison Park, This cairn, by the way, was taken from rocks all the way from Africa to the Underground Railroad routes all the way to Owen Sound. And it recognizes Owen Sound, which this year will be its 159th year in a row that they've been presenting. I love Owen Sound for the voting in 3 Black mayors, one of which was an Order of Canada recipient. 5 Black high school presidents, 3 Scots, including myself, my sister, and my youngest aunt, and 2 cousins. And for their interest in the Black community, history, contributions, and successes. I'm proud of my family and heritage for their pioneering our Black, mixed, and inclusive community. Their accomplishments in community representation and their perseverance, strength, and leadership. They're pushing me to be the first university graduate in the family. Proud of my sister, her VP Diversity at TD Canada. My father, first director of St. Albans Boys Club in Toronto. My grandmother's sister, Susan Ann Woods Earle, was a deaconess in the British Methodist Episcopal Church history. She was the second woman in Canada after her friend Reverend Elstart to be a fully ordained minister. I had an aunt Guelph, who was the best elementary school teacher in the community upon her passing. Her husband is a distinguished former Dean of Veterinary Sciences, Professor of Veterinarian Pathobiology at the University of Guelph, and founding member of the Canadian Academy of Health Sciences. And my wife, Lisa, who lost relatives in the Holocaust, her immediate family was taken in by Blacks in England in running away from death camps. She has been my mentor, business, home, volunteer, and leisure partner, and great wife and mother who unfortunately has to still today defend our mixed marriage. The only thing a 2-year-old dislikes is going to bed early, which indicates that racism, prejudice, and division are learned, and thus cultural education is necessary to alleviate bullying, crime, systemic racism, and abuse within marginalized individuals and communities. As President Obama stated at a United Nations General Assembly conference, at this moment, we all face a choice. We can choose to press forward with a better model of cooperation and integration, or we can retreat in a world sharply divided and ultimately in conflict. It is our generations which must forage the best future for our ascendants. Inclusivity and love will progress you forward mentally and operationally. As in our family, constructive communications, education, empathy, and appraising what's right versus looking for what's wrong will promote intellectual and social growth. And bottom line, treating people as you would want to be treated will improve your sanity and livelihood. Stand up against mistreatment, stereotyping, and abuse, and get involved with your community, be it home, school, business, or social. As President Biden stated, lead not by the example of your power, but the power of your example. Model what you want to see in your family and your community. This is the family I grew up with, and I thank them and I thank you.
Very much, sir. Thank you so much. Very, very insightful. In the interest of time, we still have one more speaker to go. I'm just going to quickly introduce her briefly. She's a resident of Halton Hills for over 10 years, a school administrator, been in various positions. Please join me to welcome Angela Ayani. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I acknowledge the Mayor, Mayor Bonnet, Justice Burns, Regional Council of Fogal, organizers of this wonderful event, and co-presenters. It's been an amazing, insightful, deeply enriching event, and I just got carried away just listening to the last speaker. So my name is Miss Ayani, and I identify as Black Christian, and also I'm a resident here. I've been for 10 years, resident in Halton Hills, and I have enjoyed being here. And I really will want to share my experiences with you. Well, when we first moved here, we experienced some microaggression. We will walk out of our home and we'll find coffee being spilled over our windshields. My husband and I will splash coffee over our windshield, just as some person sharing or just wanting to let us know that we did not belong here. Over time, that has kind of changed. Our neighborhood has changed, and we've had more people, more diversity around us. And I'm delighted. I know the mayor is listening. I'm delighted to hear that Halton Hills has now joined 81 other towns across Canada to foster inclusivity and to become a coalition for human rights, diversity, and public interest. That's really, really amazing. It's historical. Hopefully, this will help move the needle, towards challenging and dismantling racism while promoting understanding and mutual respect for cultural diversity in this town. By the grace of God, I've had 23 years, both as a teacher and as a school administrator, and I have come to realize that we all share a common humanity. And I'm thankful for the new understandings that are beginning to surround the adverse effect of colonialism, white supremacy, discrimination, marginalization that has plagued world systems for too long. Hopefully this new dawn that for acceptance and fair treatment for all has finally dawned. So irrespective of our personalities, race, creed, or gender, we can now become our authentic selves in spaces that we, beforehand will not have felt welcome. If there are any lessons to learn from the pandemic, it is that we all need each other. Black, brown, Black, we all need each other. And I will speak today as a resident, and for good neighborliness, I will advise. We should all presume competence, because your racialized neighbor might just be a nurse, a doctor, a surgeon, or a vice principal like me. We should also presume positive intent and express it in positive tones in physical spaces, and also on social media. Repairing the harm done by racism is a collective responsibility of everyone. We should always be ready to learn about each other's culture, affirm the uniqueness that we have, validate one another, celebrate our differences. Every day, not only during Black History Month, we should also form and nurture relationships with other races without bias, because you don't even know. You share the same humanity. You might be going through the same pains. As in COVID, we all realize that we're all in this together. We should also build partnerships within our multi-dimensional community here at Halton for our common good. We need it. I was listening to the young poet at Joe Biden's President Joe Biden's inauguration, when she said, "When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid." And she went on to say that, there was always light, if only we were brave enough to see it, if only we were brave enough to be it. So it takes bravery, it takes courage to live in a systemically racist environment and still be your authentic self. So scripturally, because I'm a Christian, I'll proclaim and declare to Halton Hills to arise and shine. It is time to enable safe and brave spaces for all, regardless of your race, your personality, your creed, or your gender. In politics, in homes, in schools, in judicial and legal systems, in the hospital, marketplaces, places of worship, essentially in all places of interaction, including highways and byways. We can make this work together. Let's do it, Halton. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ayana. That was so powerful and rich. We are keeping to time. We asked for your indulgence for 12:15, and we want to maintain that time. I thank you so much. We want to take a quick collage. If you could please turn on your video so we can take a quick collage of today's event. While we take a quick collage, I just want to say to all the speakers for today and all of you who joined us, particularly the residents of Halton Hills, this is a moving conversation. It's moving, and we'll continue. ACCH will continue to connect with our provincial members of parliament, as well as with the mayor's office.
And also, I'm asking everyone to please, I know there was a post that was posted on the Diversity Roundtable. Please feel free to join it. We want to continue to engage in that conversation. So once we take the collage, please turn on your cameras. We're just going to have one of our board directors, Kristen McIntosh, give a closing remarks for today. I want to quickly thank everyone for your indulgence. As a lawyer, I know that we would have equity when we can no longer predict the outcomes based on identity. So that is really the sum theme of what I think we're all moving towards in our advocacy for ACCH as well. So once we've taken the collage, the next voice you're going to be hearing is Ms. Kristen McIntosh. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adosa. Wow, today was really great. A lot of great dialogue and connecting with everybody today. Let's continue to promote awareness and culture, connect with people, and share options and opportunities to grow. I'd like to take this time to give a vote of thanks to His Worship Mayor Rick Bonnet, Regional Councillor Jane Fogel, Justice Barnes, Educator Miss Adamindoon, excuse me, forgive me for messing that up if I have, Pastor Akindo Minde, career coach Dennis Scott, our virtual guests, and the board of ACCH. As a reminder, our Black History Month celebration continues next Thursday with the town of Oakville between 11 to 12. We hope you can join us virtually, and happy Black History Month.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Au revoir, and have a fantastic day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. And
yes. Thank you, Mayor.
That's going to take that.
It's 9:45 of the day. I'm viewing in from Brampton. Wow, thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Catherine McLeod, as well, for joining in and for sending the registration link.
Mayor, can you share that thing again? Can I take a picture of it?
yeah, so I hope it shows up. Be like Andy backward.
You want to move it to your left. Okay. Perfect.
No, I don't want your face to be covered.
Oh, yeah, we need your face.
It's better the way you were.
Let's see, does that work?
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Done. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I want to thank Mayor Bonet in regards to all the work he does in regards to Black history. So thank you.
Thank
On
you
behalf
very
of all
much.
of us.
Thank you very much. And you should write a book on your family tree. That was amazing. I could listen to you for another hour. Just,
I could talk for another 3.
Merci beaucoup et bonne journée à tout le monde.
Yeah, exactly.
Politician one day.
All right, we'll do that.
Bye-bye.
Trustee Jean-Claude Inganzo, thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. It was an absolute pleasure. Let's keep telling the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard and Romeo. Michelle, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Regional Councillor. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Dennis Scott. Thank you, Your Honor, Mayor Rick Bonnet. Really appreciate you all. Thank you,
It's a pleasure.
Owigo. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Edosa, for having me here. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a fantastic day. Thank you.
All right, then.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. I'm just going to stop recording.